All right, I'm Rick Anthony. I'm the Vice President of the Zero Waste USA. It's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Paul Connett. I've worked with him for over 25 years. He's our zero waste rock star and probably the least boring professor you've ever heard, Paul Connett.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rick. First of all, an explanation for this title. I'm often asked, you hear me? I'm often asked about this, about which country is the best at recycling. And my standard reply is countries don't recycle, communities recycle. And that's why this title is actually the subtitle of my book. More about that later. And I'm going to share the screen, I hope. Okay, so much for the title. I never know what organization to call myself. I work with a number of people. American Environmental Health Sciences Project is my umbrella, but no one's heard of that. But for many years in the United States, I worked with the group Work on Waste USA. Now, in terms of the presentation, I'll give a personal introduction. I'll talk about the global picture and talk about some model cities and 10 steps to zero waste. The 10 steps gives us the framework and the model cities give us examples of those steps. And with that, let's talk about what I've been doing. I'm a retired professor of chemistry. I specialize in environmental chemistry and toxicology. I've been researching waste management since 1985. And I've been promoting zero waste since 1999. The issue has taken me to 69 different countries, particularly Italy, which I've now visited 86 times. Our webpage, AmericanHealthStudies.org, it's really an archive. It's not a web page. No one is really updating this very frequently. But if you go there and want to find more about our work, Work on Waste leads you there. And the book is advertised. And in the Work on Waste place, you will find a list of videotapes and you click on those videotapes. And that gives you a lot of the work that I've been doing. The waste management as if the future mattered. That was a summation of the work up to that year. Zero waste, idealistic dream or realistic goal. That's where zero waste started for me in San Francisco, videotaping all the people that were doing or part of the zero waste movement at that time, including Rick, who just introduced me, and then a series of videotapes that Bill Sheehan essentially financed, Nova Scotia, Burlington, Vermont, Canberra, Australia, and San Francisco, USA. Somewhat dated, these go back to 2000, but there's still some good stuff in there if you want to, as I say, look at a little bit of history. Here's the On the Road to Zero Waste, Idealistic Dream, Waste Management, and so on and so on and so on. The book was published in 2013, and the third section of the book has essays from many people from this conference, people like Gary List and Rick Anthony and others. The full title, as you see, Untrashing the Planet, One Community at a Time is the subtitle. So into the second section, the global picture. We would need 5 planets if everyone consumed as much as the average American. Meanwhile, India and China are copying our consumption patterns. Clearly, something has got to change on a finite planet. And to me, the best place to start that change is with waste because everybody makes it every day. We have to convert a linear economy to a circular economy. The Story of Stuff from Annie Leonard does a beautiful description of this. The 4 steps: extraction of raw materials, transporting them around the world, manufacturing of products, consumption of those products, and then waste, a one-way system. And this diagram from RAP UK sums up what we have to do pretty simply. There's the 4 steps I've just talked about. We've got to cut out all this consumption of finite materials. We've got to drastically reduce the amount of waste and recycle, go round and round with the stuff that we've extracted from the planet. Lots of aluminium, lots of steel, etc. A lot of this can go round and round and round. Okay, To get close to zero waste, we don't need magic machines. We need better organization, better education, and better industrial design. Zero waste is a design problem. The key responsibilities, community, of course, at the back end, discard management. At the front end, we need industrial responsibility, difficult to get because half of industry is making one-way use products and they want waste. On the other hand, the durable products industry are doing a good job with zero waste and saving money doing it. We need good political leadership to put these responsibilities together, including involving the informal sector, the waste pickers, particularly in the South, and finally involving universities. I'm glad we had a session today on zero waste programs in universities. Model cities, these are one, there are many, but these are the ones I use a lot. San Francisco, Capaneri in Italy, Hernani in Spain, San Fernando City in the Philippines, Bandung in Indonesia, and with mixed feelings, Buenos Aires, Argentina, because they are proposing 7 trash incinerators there, or they were. Hopefully they haven't happened yet. The 10 steps to zero waste. This is our framework. This is a step-by-step, practical, common sense, economically good steps to zero waste. Here they are all in one picture. We'll look at that picture again at the end, but I'm going to look at each step one at a time, starting with source separation. These 10 things make waste by mixing everything together, but if you separate, then you're still dealing with resources. One of the key things to separate is the organic fraction. If you don't separate it, you're going to waste a big chunk of the waste stream and also make some nasty pollution in the process. Step 2, elegant systems to pick that up, convenient for the citizen, convenient for the business. In San Francisco, it couldn't be more convenient. 3 containers, 1, 2, 3. Recycling as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1 container for the recyclables, 1 for the compostables, 1 for the residuals, picked up once a week, more frequently for businesses. In Italy, I think they have a more elegant system. They use the same trucks of picking up different materials in the same days, and in the process of saved money doing this in Italy. In Spain, it's essentially copied the process. Hernani in Basque Country, and there you see the same idea, except here you see organics picked up 3 times a week because it's so hot there. But the difference, one difference is that the containers that you put out are put on hooks, on walls or on posts. And each hook has a number, and that number is on each of your different containers for the different materials. A very elegant system. Here it is on posts, so you're not restricted to large walls. In Castelnuovo in Sicily, it's a little awkward for collection because it's a very steep hill and the streets are very narrow. So they had to devise a very special system. And that was the Ragusa donkey with a panels on one side for the organics, one for recyclables. And the citizens love this. They feed the donkeys with carrots and everything else. They love these donkeys. The tourists love these donkeys. And the end result is that this guy in orange, he used to be an alcoholic. Anyway, this guy has missed a day of work since he started with this donkey, and he's very happy. And it brings up a principle I'd like to stress, that zero waste is not just about recovering material resources, it's about recovering human resources. People need jobs, yes, but they also need respect. And I think Gaia has been marvelous around the planet, getting respect for the waste pickers. In Brazil, it's catadores. And they have moving the catadores from picking waste in the landfill into the formal sector, in various different ways. In Brazil, the people, they've won the right, they're cooperatized, and the co-ops have won the right to pick up the recyclables door to door, and they take these in various carts to big warehouses where more catadores separate, upgrade, get ready for market. They're involved in every stage of recycling. Quite a career structure there. In the Philippines, marvelous examples. Froilan Great, who used to work with Mother Foundation, is now working for Gaia. He's absolutely superb. And they've developed model systems there, starting with the smallest political jurisdiction in the Philippines, which is the barangay. So in Manila, you've got hundreds of barangays, a small population of 50, in this case, 15,000, 3,000 households. But Manila is millions of people. So the idea is if you can get it right in the smallest jurisdiction, then you just simply multiply your successful model. And this is what some parts of Manila looked like before they started. And here again, ghastly, but afterwards it looked like this. And the way they did this is that each of these barangays have recycling, working with the professional recyclers, and compost. So you use the waste pickers with little barrows in the barangays to pick up the recyclables, pick up the organics, take it to these material recovery facilities and so on. So you're creating jobs, tidying up the city, and very, very popular. Now they've expanded this to San Fernando City in the region of Pampanga. And in the daytime, it's basically 300,000 residents, but it's a market town. The population goes up to 1 million during the day. They've straight away, within 6 months, they were diverting 55% of the waste. That's gone up to 78%. Now it's over 80%. They're saving millions of dollars. They've got 180 of these material recovery facilities, one in every barangay, school, and subdivision, and employing lots of waste pickers, and they are involved in a partnership with the city, with the Solid Waste Board. So again, respect, respect, respect. In Bandung, Indonesia, after Freud and Great talked about what was happening in the Philippines, they decided to copy it. I had a chance to look at it a couple of years ago, very colorful. This is on the right is a waste picker. They take from door to door, put it in the recyclables in these big cages, and the organics go to this brickwork composting facility. Here you see me looking at it and talking to the vice mayor of Bandung, who's very excited by the program. The organics are being used to get plants for vegetables and for lettuces and so on. So the community benefits in many ways with this program. And the vice mayor wants to expand this to the whole of Bandung, which is a city of several million. A very exciting model city, in my view. Composting is key. Composting, in my view, is far more important than recycling, but it's the last thing that communities often do. According to the World Bank, composting would decrease waste in some developing countries, 50 to 80%. Hierarchy, first of all, we have to feed people. We waste too much food, feed animals, feed the soil, and do it locally as much as possible, schools, universities, prisons, locally, businesses. And then community composting. Zurich, Switzerland is a marvel example. On farms, and finally back it all up with a centralized facility, which could well be anaerobic digestion, which occupies less space than the normal composting and can handle a larger tonnage. Community composting in Bandung. I was shown by this activist here, Yobel, who works for Gaia. The local community has this park, and in the park, this fellow takes organics from the surrounding houses and compost with a variety of different devices for vegetable leaves, organic waste, food waste, etc., and some recycling. And the citizens bring the organic waste, and the citizens take away the compost and sometimes take away the plants that they nurture on site as well. Very, very exciting. Very important principle here, to use organics in agriculture, you must get them clean. That's why we need source separation. And that's why, and a door-to-door collection. And in Hernani in Spain, remember Hernani with the bins on the hooks? Amazing, absolutely amazing purity that they're getting, 99.76% pure organics. That tells you that citizens can be well educated if there's a will. In San Francisco, they realize the value of having clean organics, and they make it 25% cheaper to put it out for businesses, restaurants, hotels, because they know that these organics are going to go to a composting facility surrounded by farmland, and the farmers are going to use this compost to grow fruit and vegetables, and also to be put on vineyards. 200 vineyards in California are using this compost from San Francisco because it holds onto water. You need less irrigation. Recycling in San Francisco, Pier 96, as you've seen these pictures, I'm sure, before. I think the important thing here, the model here, is the way that this company works economically. It has the contract for picking up the 3 containers in San Francisco. It owns the recycling facility and it owns the composting facility, but it doesn't own the landfill. It has no incentive to make money from waste. It has a lot of incentive to make money out of resources. And so really they are the first, if you like, resource management company, not a waste management company, when we need far more of those on the planet. And the company is owned by the workers. You see here, these workers are getting quite a bit of money, being paid to do what they do, but also getting a share in the profits. In Buenos Aires, the exciting thing here is the same thing, that they have moving people as fast as possible, waste pickers from the informal sector who dive into the big waste containers at the side of the streets in Buenos Aires, a dangerous job, and instead building material recovery facilities in Buenos Aires. They have at least 4 now, and employing people in this way. And I was very impressed with the cleanliness and the lack of smell, the quality of the products that they are getting in Buenos Aires. Step 5, reuse, but I go further than that. I want reuse, I want repair, and I want research in these community centers. Rick Anthony prepared this. He showed that reusable objects are only 2% of the domestic waste discard stream in Los Angeles, but worth well over 1/3 of the value. So this tells you where the jobs are and where the small businesses are with reuse. And Urban Ore in Berkeley is a model. Dan Knapp and Mary Lou DeVenta have been operating this for 30 years. It's grossing $3 million a year, 37 full-time, well-paid jobs. And when you go to it, it's like a secondhand shopping mall. And of course, we've got many of these now around the country. I love the one in Ithaca. I saw the lady there earlier on today talking about it. So you get anything there, anything that you want. Shopping mall for secondhand, and building materials are the big valuable item, at least in Berkeley. And Dan is a specialist in doors, all kinds of doors. And some are worth nothing and some are worth hundreds of dollars. In Burlington, they have a system, a lovely setup, but in addition to the usual reuse, they train people, take them off the streets, train them how to repair their choice, large objects, small objects, electrical goods, and computers, and then help them to get a job. They're also linked to a deconstruction company, which deconstructs buildings, uses the materials either for new buildings or making furniture and other items. This is an example of value added, linking to value added, more jobs, building, more jobs, selling and advertising, and so on and so on and so on. So reuse and repair centers, this is the circular economy for reusable objects. It's job creation, it's job training, it's linked to deconstruction and value-added enterprises, it's community education. You can show the citizens everything you want in the program. It's a collection depot for household toxics, which gives you more money, input from the local authority. It's community development. We need to build communities. We need to recreate the village within the anonymous cities. And we need to have fun with reuse centers. And Paul Marderson, who's on this call, is described as the least boring bureaucrat in the world. He devised this system in Sweden, who otherwise is pretty hopeless because they love incinerators in Sweden. But when you go here, there's a band playing. When you walk around, there's clowns to educate the kids. When you go to have a poop, it's an art gallery. You've got the usual beautiful display of reusables. You've got people repairing things, everything under the sun. You've got lots of people involved, volunteers and so on. You have rock concerts for the kids. The entrance is 20 plastic bottles, education at the same time. And this is my favorite. This is the famous Swedish dog that can separate mixed recyclables into 6 different categories. And if a dog can do that in Sweden, any politician in the world should be able to separate into 3 at least. Now, this gives me an excuse to talk about the 4 C's. We need the 4 C's to prop up the 4 R's of zero waste: reduce, reuse, recycle, and redesign. That comes up next. We need common sense. All my 10 steps are common sense. You don't need a PhD to design that. It's just common sense in action. Secondly, as I've stressed, we need community. We need community to do it, and we need to build the community whilst we are doing it. And we need creativity. We need color. That's what I love about Gothenburg. It's creative, it's colorful. That's what we need. And to do that, we need children. We need to get children involved with public service and this business of working towards sustainability as early as possible. Get them excited. And that's why we must have fun. And taking that one step further, we need one-stop shopping. Dan Knapp, Buddy Boyd, Eric Lombardi, and others have been working on the notion of that's Eric Lombardi, a zero waste park where you do everything. And this should be a fun place to go to. The whole family should go to this. And in one glorious kaleidoscopic view, you see the whole of the 10 steps to zero waste. Oh, that's my thing telling me I'm running out of time. So yes, I've got 5 minutes. Thank you, Alan. Okay, so steps 6 to 9 are an attempt to minimize the residual fraction. The first one is the Zero Waste Research Center. The message to industry we need to send is, if we can't reuse it, recycle it, or compost it, industry shouldn't be making it. We need better industrial design for the 21st century. You can explain zero waste in one slide. It's community responsibility and it's industrial responsibility. Community responsibility, reduce, reuse, recycle, and compost. Industrial responsibility, redesign. Make the residuals visible. That's bad industrial design, is the residual fraction. In Kapaneri, where they started nearly everything, in Kapaneri, they developed the Zero Waste Research Center there in 2010. This is the genius behind that. Rossano Accolini, he's a primary school teacher. Here are some of his kids learning from him. What a wonderful teacher. Here we're going through the residual waste. You need to analyze the residuals. We need to involve local community universities, but I want them to work downtown. I don't want an ivory tower approach to this. I want the universities to work with the citizens and the activists, and the place should be the reuse center. That's clean, it's spacious, it's exciting. Examine the residual fraction, identify non-reusable objects and non-recyclable materials, recommend better industrial design, work with industrial designers, research waste reduction efforts around the world. In Ontario, they've been reusing glass beer bottles for 60 years. In Italy, they have stores where you can refill your own bottles. In Indonesia, they show citizens these pumps. Instead of having 100 sachets, you get one of these pumps. In Kapaneri, Italy, Rossano's been getting the plastics out of schools. We need to get plastics out of every cafeteria in the world. We need to replace disposable diapers with reusable diapers, Eco Bimbi. And all over the world, we have communities and countries banning or taxing single-use plastic objects, the curse of our world at the moment. We need the economic incentives, and the most well-known is pay-as-you-throw. The recyclables are free, the compostables are free, but there's a surcharge on the residuals. The more you make, the more you pay, or the less you make, the more you save. Seattle has a program. Italy has a system where you don't have to put out the residuals each week. You can save them up and save money. And how close are we getting to zero waste from steps 1 through 7? Italy, marvelous example. 40 provinces out of 108 are averaging above 65%. 4 of the best are over 80%. Treviso, a population of 1 million, at 88%. Nearly 3,000 municipalities over 70%, over 1,000 at 80%, 112 over 90% and more. In San Francisco, they reached 80% by 2011. I think they plateaued out. Going beyond 80%, we need a residual separation and biological stabilization facility, sometimes referred to mechanically and biological treatment. Nova Scotia has built these in front of the landfills. There's one in front of the Halifax landfill. I don't have time to go through this, but paid workers pull out more recyclables, more toxics. The dirty organic fraction is stabilized either with composting or anaerobic digestion, and the residuals, then the stabilized organics, go to the landfill. We need a landfill, we'll always need a landfill, but we need to make it smaller and safer than either an ash landfill for incinerators or the typical mega landfill if you don't do zero waste. Ours can be smaller and cleaner and safer. And again, we need the universities and industry to do better, more research for design of the leftovers. So they're the 10 steps again. And what I particularly like about this, it begins with everybody with source separation, but it ends with the brightest minds in our society, our professors, our students, and our industrial designers. And so summarizing, zero waste is better for the economy, it's more jobs, more respect, it's better for our health, less toxics, it's better for our universities, more meaning, more relevance, it's better for our planet, it's more sustainable, and finally, it's better for our children because we are offering them more hope for the future. In the interim, every night on television, our kids are being told there is no future for them. It's all gone, it's used up. We have global warming, we have ozone damage, we're losing species, we're losing forests, we're buggering up the oceans, and so on and so on and so on. This is not good information to inspire young people. And we can say no to a lot of things, but the beauty of zero waste is it allows us to say yes to a lot of things. Yes to recycling, yes to reuse, yes to composting, yes to research, yes, 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 and yes to sustainability. Yes, it's a positive movement. And in Italy, it was a movement from saying no to incineration, no incineratore, to sì, rifiuti zero. It was from politicians talking to citizens doing. And that, in my view, is what we can offer. This is what we need to build communities, and those communities will save the planet with zero waste programs. Thank you very much.
Paul Conant, our zero waste rock star. Thank you, Paul. We really appreciate this. It's very inspiring. I don't know, we have maybe no time for questions.
But I kept within 30 minutes. How about that?
You did. It's like just 12:59 right now, so we could talk for 30 seconds. But so what are you doing now? What you could say in 30 seconds? What's the latest campaign?
Well, just recently I've been doing more Zoom work. I think Zoom is absolutely fabulous. I prefer these conferences on Zoom. I miss meeting the people in person. But I think in terms of accessing the information, it's so much clearer this way. You get to see the people more clearly, and you get to see their PowerPoints more clearly. So I love them. I love these Zoom conferences. And of course, it's much cheaper. I'm not having to fly to all these countries. Oh, I do miss the people, though. I really miss the zero waste activists in person.
And the Vino Rosa.
Vino Rosa.
Polka.
Yeah.